In this edition of Hashtag Thinking Forward, we're looking at the upcoming Saudi Grand Prix, the latest major motorsport event in the kingdom, following on from the Dakar Rally, Formula E and Extreme E. To understand a little more about Saudi Arabia's vision for motorsport, we've invited the Minister of Sport, Prince Abdulaziz, to tell us more. So, Prince Abdulaziz, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us on this edition of Hashtag Thinking Forward. Can we start by talking about the upcoming Saudi Grand Prix and what fans can expect from it?
Thank you so much, James, for having me today. And we're really excited in the kingdom and in the anticipation for this event. Formula One is a big sport in Saudi Arabia. Car racing is a big sport in Saudi Arabia. And Saudis are very excited about such an event. It's already starting to have a buzz. We're already starting to get really positive feedback from everyone on what's going to happen in the race, the setup of the track that's being built. So really, we're all excited in bringing everything together to make sure that it's a memorable an exciting event that's like no other and on the calendar, and that's what we aim to show and aim to hopefully achieve, that everyone that comes and attends this race experience something that is different than anywhere else.
Now, the street track in Jeddah is a short-term solution with a permanent circuit, obviously, in the pipeline. Can you tell us about your vision there?
Yes, I mean, there's a city called Jeddah that's being built, and it's a sport, entertainment, cultural city where hopefully most of our sporting venues being built there. There's an F1 track that's going to be built there, and that's in progress with the 2030 vision, and one of the giga projects that's been announced by His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. And we're really, working hard to make sure that we achieve the deadlines and make sure that we execute this project. It will help us in the sports sector, especially in the kingdom, with these venues, and we can activate a lot of activities within the city. But in the meantime, the idea is also to build a similar or to execute a similar goal by building a street circuit in Jeddah on the Corniche, where it's actually the most important thing for us with this is keeping a legacy for the city. So we're not really just developing a racetrack, we're actually developing the whole waterfront that's looking onto the Red Sea, with the sporting activity venues such as tennis courts, outdoor skateboard park, some beach volleyball, and so on. And it's going to be a full area that people can come and a destination for the city to enjoy whatever sporting activity that they want to participate in. So the track is definitely the going to be the iconic symbol of that area. But we took this advantage to make sure that we leave something. So when we have open, we don't have any activities on the track, then the city can utilize the whole waterfront over there.
Let's talk about the development of the whole Saudi motorsport program. If we look over the last few years, we've got the Dakar, you've got the Formula E race, you have the Extreme E race, and now the long contract to host Formula One. Arguably, nobody in the world is investing as much in motorsport as your country is. So what is behind this push into sport and particularly the motorsport business?
Well, it's not really into just motorsport, but it's maybe motorsport took a lot of the limelight, but we're really investing in a lot of sports within the kingdom. So when we've started with the 2030 vision, this is the ambition of the goals that are mandated on the Ministry of Sports and the sports ecosystem within the kingdom. And the government understands that sports is a very important role to play, has a very important role to play for the future of the youth. 70% of the population is below the age of 40. So we need to get them active. We need to get them more engaged in sports and make sure that we do it the right way. In 2017, we had 32 federations. Today, we have 92 federations. And that shows you that that there's a big investment that's happening within the kingdom to encourage people to participate in any kinds of sports. As we speak, we're trying to even compete and qualify for the Beijing Winter Olympics. We have some athletes that are based in Europe or in the US that are that love either snowboarding or skiing or so on, and we'd like to build a platform for them and give them a chance to be to compete in the international arena. So if you look at the whole ecosystem of sports and development and the investment that has put in, motorsport definitely took a lot of the limelight because we're hosting big events such as Dakar, and the participation of a lot of international athletes and competitors in these competitions, and that has actually shown that we've progressed so much. Only this year, we have 3 or 4 world champions in the Baha Rally, with a female champion in the T3 category in the World Championship, where only 4 years ago women were not allowed to drive. So you can see that that development is actually much more than just sports. It's about livability. It's about giving a chance for the youth. It's about being present in the international arena, and hosting such events actually helped us to excel these goals and to make sure that the Saudis who are passionate about sport and want to participate can actually learn very quickly from these competitions and see the difference between local competitions and international competitions and learn from the international athletes.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Obviously, it's you're really opening up your country on the international stage. It's getting a lot of attention. It's getting a lot of coverage. I wonder, what is this doing for your country on the international stage?
Well, tourism, just the tourist visa that was acceptable all over the world and wasn't in Saudi in 2017. The process has been initiated through Formula E, and it shows you that an event like Formula E that we hosted in 2018, just because of that event, we today have a tourist visa. It started by that event as a pilot project to implement a visa for the fans who want to come and watch the race, and then from then on, within 3 months, the Ministry of Tourism adopted the system that we put in the sports sector for such a process. And today, more than 50 countries have the ability to receive a visa on arrival process. From one of the most difficult countries to get a visa to one of the most easiest countries to get a visa and come in. So tourism is something that's very important, and it's part of the 2030 vision. And we're luckily, thank God, that we have a beautiful landscape as well. And that territory of development and tapping into such natural and yet untouched industry such as the tourism is something that we have to engage in, and we have to make sure that we can develop and make sure that we can also deliver on the best expectation that anyone would expect if they visit Saudi Arabia. And that is what that is one of the main drivers of the 2030 vision, and that will help us in the sports sector. It will help us in the entertainment sector and the culture and all other sectors that benefit from tourism and so on. In the past, we couldn't host any events because the country wasn't open for that. So just by accepting that and opening it up, today we have a lot of events that we're struggling to find the right calendar to fit in all of these events.
I mentioned social change as well, because clearly that's an important thing for you. You're putting yourself in the spotlight. There's a lot of attention on Saudi Arabia. There's the We Race as One messaging that's fundamental to Formula One. How are you and your country going to align with that?
Everyone is welcome in the country, and we have our culture and our habits that any other country has, and we respect it everywhere else, and that's it. So we're definitely looking forward to hosting a lot of more events in the future, and we would like to welcome everyone from around the world to come and visit Saudi Arabia and to see Saudi Arabia for what it is. everyone is welcome, and we respect everyone, and we have to put on a show that actually is for everyone, and make sure that we deliver on that.
We recently released the results of the global F1 fan survey, the largest sports survey that Nielsen has ever analysed, and with responses from over 187 countries. What was really striking, I thought, was how much younger and more female the F1 audience is becoming, and also the positivity around F1's brand attributes, things like adjectives like exciting, entertaining, and competitive were there at the top that we haven't seen before. I wonder what you made of it, looking at it as someone who's coming in now to the sport.
Well, I think it's the right time for us to come in, and I really think that Formula One with the new management have changed their philosophy about what Formula One is and being more engaged with the fans. We see them very active on social media. We see them, the Netflix series that came out. That was something that I think attracted a lot of people towards Formula One. People who are not really interested in racing and so on actually watched it because of the excitement and the thrill that is there. And now they are Formula One fans. And I think this approach from Formula One is really the game changer, I think, for the future of Formula One, with getting the youth, getting the young, getting the next generation on board to be part of the future of Formula One. For us, this is amazing because Saudis, as I mentioned before, that the population of Saudi, 70% of the population is below 40, and they're very tech savvy. And they like checking these things on their Instagram, on their Twitter. And you see even the drivers, the team principals, everyone is more engaged and more accessible, I think, today than what they were in the past. And I think that gives another dynamic of how people see Formula One today, and to get them more engaged with Formula One and more excited about it.
Well, you mentioned tech savvy. Because another striking point for me from the survey was the crossover between the newer audiences and gamers. 61% of F1 fans under the age of 24 identifying as regular motorsports gamers. I wonder how you see the importance of gaming and esports for engaging with the youth.
Well, it's so important that we have its own federation. That is actually managing gaming within the kingdom, and I think it is the way for the future. And I think that we should give it as much importance as any sport. We definitely host a lot of these events and do these events within the kingdom, but I think gaming is very, very important for the youth, and very important for them to come in, and very important for us to make sure that we have the right platform and to get engaging in that. We did, during the pandemic, Gamers Without Borders, and that generated around $10 million that went into charity to find and relief from the COVID situation around the world, and with millions of participants around the world. So the beauty about gaming is that you can do it anywhere, at any time, at any place, and really you can get more people engaged and more people interact with such a thing, or with such an event that you would want. We did also the Le Mans. We sponsored the Le Mans virtual race that happened even during the lockdown, and we found a lot of people interested in the kingdom to participate, to be part of it, and they actually watched it. So I think it's something that we have to grasp. I think it's very important for the youth and for the future, and we shouldn't let it go, and we should do it. We should be part of this evolution, I think, of gaming that's happening.
It's interesting. I kind of see it in two strands, really. I mean, there's what you've just been saying, which is a world in its own right. Okay, so people, the virtual world of gaming and esports and what have you. Then there's also the question of what that does for the sport itself, the actual physical sport on the track. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts about how you think that will impact the future of motorsport itself.
Well, I think you've seen some projects that happened, such as GT Academy, and that happened with Nissan and PlayStation, and some of the drivers who were gamers, and they've never driven a race car that they took them straight away from their gaming console to a racetrack, and they adapted very quickly, and they became factory drivers that are competing in international arenas. So I think, and today, you know, when you look at even F1 drivers, they get into the simulator, they put the time in the simulator, and they try to be part of or to learn as much as they can from that before they actually go to the venue. It's very difficult today to, I think, and costly, I think, to go anywhere you want to go and test and so on. And for young kids who are maybe limited on their budgets, they can't travel to go and test, but they will have a race, for instance, in a racetrack that they've never been. And I think using these games and understanding these the games that they play in, they actually can learn the track before they actually get there. So it's a link that you can utilize, or it's a tool that you can utilize that can actually definitely benefit you on in reality when you get there. And it's all about hand-eye coordination and calculating things in your head. And it's almost the same as when you're going 200 kilometers per hour and something happens in front of you, you can actually react to that. The only, I think, benefit in doing it on a console is that if something goes wrong, you're safe, and that's the only difference that you would find from real racing and the reality that comes with that. And that, you know, is very easy to come about or to come around with experience from the drivers. But you know, today you see Formula One drivers, even, I mean, racing drivers in total, they're much younger than what they used to be, and getting into really high-end competitions with a very young age. And I think that's the link that they get from gaming towards moving to the real life that they benefit from.
I think the other thing that really helps as well is that they do interact with other gamers, don't they? A lot of Grand Prix drivers are racing with gamers, and also the fact that the gamers are using the same control inputs, you know, the wheel, the paddles, the throttle and brake as the real athletes. I think there's a lot there, isn't there? It's very exciting that it's so you know, relatable.
Yeah, 100%. And as you said, it's a different world. It's another world, I think, where everyone's just connected, and they can, you know, you could be racing with someone in the US or in Japan or all at the same time, and you make friends and so on. And it's social interaction, and we saw a lot of these, you know, events happening through Formula One or other events, and you see the fans actually engaging with the Formula One Formula One drivers, and that's something I think beautiful that you can link. Actually aspiring for the youth to, you know, that, you know, their idol, whether it was Lewis Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel or any of the other drivers, Max Verstappen, that they can actually compete against in an equal playing field, I would say, and then they can hopefully one day become their you know, their competitor in real life, and we see that sometimes in sports. You see a picture of a young, talented, you know, new star that is now a global star that took a picture with another star, you know, 10 years before, and he looked like a very young child, and today he's a grown man and competing against the same athlete. So that, I think that's the beauty about sports, is that if you work hard and you make sure that you can do the right things, you'll eventually reach to these goals and become like your idols.
This strand obviously is called #Thinking Forward. It's all about looking to the future of the sport. I'd be very interested to know, I mean, you're just getting in now, really, to, as you said, to Formula One. So you're clearly a believer in the future of motorsport. But in terms of its sporting values, its relevance in a changing world driven by climate change imperatives, its values as a laboratory for innovation, social change, all of these things, how do you see the future of motorsport?
It's very exciting, and I think we're very optimistic. You know, we wouldn't be spending so much and being part of all the events that are, or as much events of motorsport, if we're not optimistic. I think there's a lot of challenges ahead, but I think you have the smartest people around the world working in Formula One. That's my personal opinion, and I think that, you know, with such a pool of so much talent there's always challenges coming, but there's always a way to move forward. If you look at the championship this year, it's been much more exciting than any of the other years, I think, with the competition between Red Bull and Mercedes and Lewis and Max. But I think even for the future, only more of this can come. And with the different, I'm sure that we have to adapt. We have to make sure of sustainability. These are in line with our 2030 vision, that and trying to make sure that we have a sustainable future for our youth, and making sure that we can deliver on a brighter future than where we are today. And I think, as you've seen this develop in Formula One and in other motorsports, even in Dakar, if you've seen what happened, the way that Dakar races were in the past and the setup that they have today. And, a new dimension of Dakar is being approached with the announcement of some of their projects for the future, with the alternative energy and all kind of different fuel or combustion as something to be aspired for the future. And I think it's exciting, because you can see that there is ambition and there is passion towards the sport, and there are more people getting involved, and more companies and more fans being part of the development of the ecosystem, I would say, of motorsport. So I think that we have a bright future for motorsport, and I think there's still much more to do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.